Hey, hi, hello. My name is Emily, and thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Today Needs You podcast. This is where we have the chance to chat about all the things. I promise you we're going to tackle it all. I'm super pumped about today's episode to hear from Violet and Maddie, so let's dive in together.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Today Needs You podcast.
We're so excited to be doing this podcast, but we'll back up a little bit. My name's Violet.
My name is Maddie.
And, it's already February, which is actually crazy.
Yes.
And this year has been kind of rough.
It's been a long
Some good
January
parts.
month.
Mm-hmm. Very, very long. And school has been tough for us all.
Yeah, getting back in. We had a few cold days where we weren't in school, so then kind of messed up with our routine even more than winter break did. So just getting right back into the swing of things was not the easiest, I'm not going to lie.
And schoolwork and people. Can't deal with people anymore. So, we're going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Never done a podcast before.
Don't really listen to them.
Not the biggest podcast listener, more of a music kind of girl.
For sure.
But, when we were asked to do this, I was actually so excited.
We were very excited.
I just feel sometimes it's hard to remember that, there's other people relating to your stuff. And, it's not just you, struggling alone.
Yeah, real.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of wanted to just talk about some stuff that I think a lot of people go through, and especially within our age group. I'm an 8th grader.
And I'm a freshman.
And I feel like it's just hard, especially the transition from 8th grade to freshman and just in high school in general.
Yeah.
It's hard with, friends and relationships and boys. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of get into that a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about leaving some friendships and starting some new ones, because sometimes that is definitely for the better instead of being, stuck in some old friendships. Going into high school, there's, a bunch of new faces, because the way we do it, we have 2 middle schools who feed into 1 high school. So it's, people, but, not a lot of people that you, have talked to before. So you, get new friends, a bunch of freshmen, and sometimes even sophomores can be in your classes. So you see a bunch of new faces, some old faces, just, not everyone is in the same lunch, so you might not have the same lunch anymore. So just, getting some new friends, which is totally fine. Make all the new friends you want. But then sometimes, remembering, your elementary friendships and, your middle school friendships. I think something I struggled with going into high school is, I always wanted to be with the same people from my middle school and my elementary school. But now, in all my classes, I have a bunch of, girls and, guys from, the other middle school that I'm, friends with now. And it's definitely had a big benefit on me.
And like I said, I'm in 8th grade, but I went to 2 different elementary schools, and we have, like Maddie was saying, 2 separate middle schools that go into 1 high school. And so all of my elementary school friends go to the different middle school than me. So I don't know, when I was moving, I've had to adjust to a lot of different friend groups, and I was always jealous of the people who had the same friend group from elementary school up until college, because I was the kind of person I had a different friend group every year, and only until recently that I found really good friends that actually stick. But I think Maddie was talking about, it's definitely hard to leave friendships even when you know that it's not good for you and you know that it's breaking you down and not helping you in any way. I still think it's difficult to adjust and find new friends, because even though, Maddie was saying, that you're not bonded for life, it's still hard to get rid of all the memories. Yeah. But you don't have to get rid of the memories. You just...
For sure.
You can just make spots for new ones and for that kind of stuff. And, I don't know, just being in middle school, there's so many different opinions and so many different kind of groups you can fall into, which is why I think it's really important to surround yourself with, good people. And if somebody's, constantly talking crap about other people, or just, talking crap about you even, because I think, if they're so comfortable talking bad about people to your face, they're probably talking bad about you to someone else. So even if it's hard, I think it's important to still surround yourself with positive people. And especially, I know it's hard because some people are just have a lot of drama and hard things going on in their life. But if they're not, I don't know the right word, but if they're not like helping you as much as like you're helping them, then I think it's better to move on a little bit.
Yeah. Just like, especially like 8th grade, like even all the way through high school, like that is when like people like start like making start like making fun of others for like stuff they do. And like that's like, I feel like that's the age when popularity really comes into play. So like even if like this girl, she's like the most popular in school, this guy's the most popular in school, just because they're popular doesn't mean you should be friends with them. Like if they're like nice and like sweet, like yeah, sure, like be friends with them, but don't be friends with people like for their popularity. Like it's just not how it should be, because you don't want to build a friendship off of like that kind of stuff. Instead you want like real like friendships. So like Violet said, like surrounding yourself with like a good influence and like good people that like don't like bring you down or like hurt you, like people like who build you up, and like obviously
and people who are there for you when like you need them the most. Yeah,
obviously you guys can like go through hard times. It's not like you guys will like never fight. Like Violet and I have been friends literally our whole life, and like we've had like fights, but like
but we know how to overcome them and actually talk about it. That's another thing, just like talking about it. And also I think it's important, even if somebody is like going through something hard, or like if they don't like talking about that, is like that you can still help them and like help them find God or help them get through the tough time without constantly being their best friend. Because I mean, it is hard to let friendships go, but you can still help others without needing like to be at their constant like call and like text them 24/7 and always like checking up on them. But I mean, it still is good for like once in a while to check up on them. But I mean, at the end of the day, like we can't really control what's going on in their lives. We can help them get through it, but we can't control it, because that's just like God's plan, you know?
And also like finding like friends who will listen to you, like great. Like I'm like definitely someone who like will talk to you, like I will like open up, and like I like will ask you for help, but you also like need to realize that like they might need help too, so you can't just have it be one-sided.
And like they have their own problems and things to deal with as well.
And pouring your problems on them make it 10 times harder for them, so they'll have 2 sets of problems. So instead of like pouring all your problems like on one person and not like, and then being like they help you and you're just like, oh okay, like then like be done with it. Like first you need to like listen to them, because like they honestly could be going through the same thing, so you guys can like work out together. But like also like if you like just give all your problems to God, he will make it 10 times easier than like any friend can.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it just like talk to people, like, and then like check up on them. Like you can't just like, that's just not how it works. And then like talk to God about it. You can like even pray to God for like your friends' problems. Like that's like 10 times better.
Because like at the end of the day, there's not too much that you can do about it, but like God can do anything about it. Yeah. So even if you're obviously you have your own problems and you can pray to God about that, but sometimes ask God and like pray for guidance for them and just to help them find God. But I mean, it honestly, like it is their choice, and like they have to like deal with their actions, but at the same time, like we can still forgive them and continue to be friends, but we don't need to be their best friend.
Yeah. Okay, so based off of what we were just talking about, for getting new friendships, especially with like school and stuff, is very important. But for leaving friendships is just as important, I would say, because people have their plan. Like obviously, like we want to follow God's plan, but like people like know what they want to do with their life. Like they have like stuff that they want to do, and like sports, like activities they do it as their like plan. And not everyone has the same like plan as you, which is like totally fine. And like trying to make stuff work with people who like don't have the same plan as you or not following the same direction with you is very difficult.
Because if from the beginning God has already laid out our entire life, and I mean, as Christians, it's our choice to try and live out his plan and try to, you know, find and follow God and try and like figure out what he wanted and to follow what he wants us to do. Some people just don't have that same thing in mind, or they were raised differently or taught different things. And that's like completely okay, because if we know that our main like mission, if you will, on this earth is to help people find God and, you know, like help them understand how much like amazingness and like power God has.
For sure.
But like some people just, they don't see eye to eye with that, and we can try and help them, but
yeah, and we're not saying like you have to like hate this person,
exactly.
like never talk to them again. Right. It's just like distancing yourself and like leaving those problems where they are can like stay there instead of like taking you with them and like dragging you both down.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, they're dragging me down, I need to leave them. Like yes, like sure, they will drag you down, like distance yourself, but like it's also like a two-sided thing. So like and help them like all you want, like have like talk to them about God, like handle all these problems with God, but like it comes to a certain point where it just needs to end.
And it's especially hard if like a friendship or a relationship is like one-sided. Like if you're seeing the problem and they're not, or especially it's even harder when they're seeing a problem and you're not, because like at the end of the day, just everybody has a different plan and their own thoughts and opinions. So like if the other person is like, oh, well, I don't think you're right for me, or I don't think you're good for me, then it's at that point you should recognize how they're feeling. And even though it is hard, because like, to be honest, like we're all pretty selfish. Okay. Like we all do want like what's best for other people, but like we honestly just want to be happy and want to be happy for ourselves and all of those things. So it's important to just know that other people like see things and like hear things different from you. So then if they're having other thoughts, then you should just respect them and, like Maddie was saying, slowly start to distance yourself from them to eventually just finding a better group. And you can just pray that they will find something better than you, which is hard because in the moment you thinking like they're like the only thing for me, but in the end, like you do just want them to find somebody better and somebody that's more healthy for them.
They definitely like, you definitely like don't, like I said earlier, you definitely don't have to just like stop like talking to these people. Like you can't, it's like not good to like hold grudges. I know like we all do, like God like doesn't want us hating like people that like he created. So definitely you don't need to stop talking. Like if they reach out to you, like continue like to talk to them, but that doesn't mean you need to stay best friends and talk every single day. Just like maybe even sometimes like reaching out and being like, hey, how are you? Like that's like great, but like you don't need to just like, it's not like block and like done, because that's also not going to solve any of your problems. Blocking people does not solve any of your problems. It just makes them, I honestly think it makes them bigger.
I agree. And I think a big part of like being a Christian is like if you're trying to like find and follow God's plan, other people will, as like big as it sounds, other people will see God in you. And like if you're, you know, constantly like praying to God and like worshiping and honestly like trying to find a relationship, he will show up for you. But then other people, like they're just like drawn to you and drawn to some kind of energy, but even if they're not Christians. But I think like not even as Christians, but just as people, we can help them find God, but they can't rely on us for their happiness, because like we're not responsible for that. And as like just like people, like we shouldn't have that burden to have to make them happy, because even if like they do see God in us, which is like honestly amazing that they do,
best thing.
But I just think it's very important that even if they do see God in us, we still are not God. You know, and 100%. we can help them find him, but at the end of the day, like we can't work miracles, and like we can't do anything to continue to like help and solve all their problems. Only God can do that. So we can help them find God, but they can't be constantly relying on us. All right, well, if you have made it this far and listened to a lot of talking.
A lot of words.
A lot of yapping.
A lot of yap.
We want to thank you for tuning in. And we hope that whoever is listening to this, that at least one person can feel a little bit better about themselves.
Yeah, that's our main goal.
Yeah, and just, obviously we'd like to reach as many people as possible, but just hope that this podcast finds you well.
Finds you in great health.
Great health. And just know that it's God's plan and not ours. And people are going to do what people want, but we got to do what God wants. Bye-bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want more from our community, follow us on social media at allthethings.community. We also hang out every day on the Daily Bible Things podcast, and you can check those out in the show notes. Have a great week, and don't forget, today needs you.